Hello, my friends. Wanted to talk about the Israeli government's terrorism upon the Palestinian people. The Israeli government has been keeping the Palestinians in a de facto concentration camp for years. It's a Gaza Strip, and around 1.3 million people, according to what I've read, live there. And the conditions in which they live are subhuman. It truly is a humanitarian crisis, a catastrophe that's going on right now. The Israeli government controls everything that goes in and out of the Gaza Strip. And mind you, this is Palestinian land. Okay, this is Palestine. And the Israeli government is doing to Palestinians what the Nazis did to them. The German Nazis did to the Jewish people. And it's nasty to have to say that for a people who suffered so much, the Jewish people, to be doing this to their cousins. These people they all come from, according to, the books and the history, they come from the same family, the Ishmaelites and the people from the Isaac and Ishmael, So they're cousins, and they're doing this thing to each other. But now the Israelis have the upper hand, and they have shown, and I'm saying the Israelis, not all Israelis, support the government's atrocities, the Israeli government's atrocities against the Palestinian people. There are a lot of Israeli people, Hebrews, that despise the treatment that their government is giving this people, the Palestinians, their cousins. And today, during the demonstrations against the movement of the capital of Israel to Jerusalem, which is, it's a political move from the hardliners, Bibi Netanyahu and the Trump administration, spitting on the face of every Arab person on earth and every Palestinian. The capital of Israel is Tel Aviv, but they doing this for political and financial problems. They want to eradicate the Palestinians. The Israeli government, really, the right-wing government that's in power in Israel right now, they want to wipe out Palestinians from the face of the earth. It's not the other way around. And the reaction from the Palestinian people is a reaction to the aggression of the Israeli government and the Western powers. Because if you don't know anything about history, you go back and see what happened. What the whole Levant region, that whole region of the Middle East, where Syria, Jordan, Israel, all that whole region in the Middle East, it used to be called the Levant. And after World War II, France, the United States, and Great Britain, they carved up a section of in 1947. They carved up a section of the Levant, and they said, "Okay, this is yours, Israel. So go make a country over there." And that stirred up a bunch of regional tensions. Imagine you've been living in a place for, I don't know, thousands of years, and all of a sudden, outside entities, outside empires come and decide that, we're just going to give your land to this people. Now, mind you, all these tribes. I'm not an expert on the history of the Hebrews and the Arabs, but I do know that for a long time these people were nomadic tribes that inhabited the area for for thousands of years, and for many generations, and they've been at war with each other for a long time. So this is not new, but the way it was done to establish Israel, the borders of Israel in 1947, it wasn't done right, and rightfully so. It pissed off the Palestinians and every Arab country in the region because they were not consulted. This conflict, the Middle Eastern conflict, is people think, oh, that's between them. No, the European Christians and their invasions from the Crusades to they've always been interfering and been invading and killing the crap out of Arab people and Jewish people and doing these things to each other, to the Middle Eastern people. And this is the result of many centuries of abuse and murder by the European Christians and their empires, namely France and Great Britain, colonizing and destroying and enslaving financially the Arabs and the Jews. So this is the result of that, and that what Israel just did when they opened fire on the demonstrators in the Gaza Strip. What the Israeli government did, it's nothing short of terrorism. This is a terrorist. This is a mass murder of Palestinian people at the hands of the murderous Bibi Netanyahu regime. This guy is a warmonger, a war criminal, financed by hardline right-wing Western powers like the United States, right-wing parties and politicians and institutions, and also right-wing politicians in Europe. They want to destroy Syria so they can get that pipeline built, so that's why actually the Iraq war started because of that. It wasn't because Kuwait was an excuse. They attacked Kuwait and they left. They didn't have to invade Iraq, but the powers that be, the Paul Wolfowitzes of the world and the Donald Rumsfelds and Dick Cheneys of the world and the rest of the warmongers of the West decided that this was a perfect opportunity to do away with the tax that the Iraqi government was levying upon the petroleum that was being pumped by the old Iraqi pipeline, and so this was an opportunity for them to do away with the regime that was charging them money for use of their pipeline. So this is all about petroleum, about pipelines, about control. So now, in an indiscriminate and disgusting terrorist attack by the Israeli government's administration, they have massacred. Last numbers I heard were 58 people murdered by the Israeli snipers, opening fire on an unarmed crowd. Say, well, they were throwing rocks. Really, motherfucker? Somebody throwing rocks at you. You're 150 feet away from them. They're in their land. They're in the Gaza Strip, Palestinian land, protesting the moving of declaring Jerusalem by the asshole Trump as the capital of Israel, when they know full well the repercussions and the turmoil that's going to bring. You're spitting on the faces on the Arabs. So basically 1,600 people injured. They opened fire on a crowd of civilians on their own land, on Palestinian land, Palestinian people demonstrating. Say, oh, they were throwing rocks at us. There was no way they could reach you with rocks. And even if they did, there's people who have full riot gear. Nothing's going to happen. Not a scratch. You're not going to get a scratch. Nothing. So, I don't know. This, and to be honest, the most dangerous, the real nuclear power in the Middle East, and the most dangerous regime in the Middle East, is the Israeli government. They have about 200 nuclear warheads, missiles that we gave to them. The United States government gave to them. Okay, they are a nuclear power, and they are trigger happy, and they want to attack Iran. The most dangerous regime in the Middle East is not the Ayatollahs from Iran. By far, it's the right-wing government of Bibi Netanyahu. That is the warmonger that we need to be controlling and watching. It's not the Ayatollahs and the mullahs. So, check that out.